Hello, and welcome to It's Just Life. I hope everyone had a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. In this episode, we will be having a conversation with Shelby Langevin about social anxiety and adjusting to college life. I will also be trying something new today near the end of the episode. Be sure to listen in to some of my own personal experiences. And with that, sit back and enjoy our chat. Also, please pardon the audio quality. Still trying to get out those kinks of recording.
Alright, welcome to the podcast, Shelby. This is the It's Just Life podcast.
It's just life. Something I don't have.
Oh, you have a life. That's just the words of a college student.
You're funny. As if college students have a life.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Nope, we don't have lives. We just know homework and anime.
Yeah, and cup noodles and staying up till like a godforsaken hours studying.
Of course.
We aren't studying. When we're just shit posting.
Alright. Back on track, shall we?
Okay.
So, what are your experiences with friendship? Is it hard or easy to make friends?
I would consider it as a battle for someone like me with learning disability and like mental health stuff. I just learned recently this year that I had PPD, which is paranoid personality disorder.
Really?
And that could associate with some social anxiety disorders as well. What it is, it's like you're so focused on what's around you and just making assumptions that something scary or something bad is going to happen at any moment or anything. And that affects me with a lot of people, especially like being out in public and going to class and all that stuff, because I'm trying to stay calm and cool and collected. And when something happens, I'm like, what's happening? And like, I get so hyper fixated, or hyper focused on what's going on. Even if it's just like walking by with somebody like on the street, I'm like, do they see me? Do I look weird? Do I, I focus?
It's like you're hyper focused on other people's opinions of you.
Yeah.
And I can totally understand that. That kind of reminds me of Corpse Husband on YouTube. He actually has agoraphobia, meaning he is afraid to go outside. He cannot. It's like being around other people gives him too much anxiety. Yeah. And I can understand and relate to that too. When I was younger, I used to go through that a lot, where going to school, I would get a lot of anxiety because I was so focused on other people's opinions.
Yeah, and it's tough because all of us were influenced on so many things.
Yeah. What were you influenced by?
Well, what I'm saying is that a lot of people are so focused on like other things that are more exciting rather than their own business kind of way. It's like you go through life with your typical everyday things. You get up, get dressed, eat stuff, go to work or school or whatever, and then you come back home. When you find something exciting to do, or you find something exciting like drama or something.
Yeah.
Bedazzling.
So like a hobby.
Well, not hobbies. Hobby is more of a long term. This is like instant, like snap of the finger. It's hard for me to explain because I'm thinking of something that's like a general kind of wisdom. I'm going to my wisdom kind of phase. It's nothing like popularized, is it? Like definitely not propaganda.
Are you talking about mainstream media?
Yeah.
Just things that you see in the media or like...
Yeah, we're all influenced by like the media. Some of us, not all of us. But we get so caught up in that stuff that we're so fixated, like, oh my god, wow, I need to know more.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something like us tripping on something like a crack on the sidewalk, or there's like no crack on the sidewalks, just tripping on your own feet.
Oh, I've
They're
done
like,
that
oh my
before.
God. And you'd look around, try to prove like it's the crack. It's the crack. It wasn't me. I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I am crazy, but I'm not crazy.
You're the good kind of crazy.
I prefer to call myself chaotically neutral.
Oh yeah, chaotic neutral. To go
Big time.
D&D terms, there's chaotic neutral. They're the alignments.
Lawful good and
Yeah. There's also true neutral, true what is it? Lawful.
yeah.
Just gotta get away from people.
Yeah.
So, what's the biggest challenge you face while trying to adjust to college life? Because I know, like, you're a college student now, and
I'm smart.
You are smart.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You know, you're a nice college student. That's why you're going to college to
I'm
get more knowledge.
I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, Millbury, a public school, I might add. You know, it's the big shots. You know.
Yeah. But I
So.
remember, like, it must have been scary going into a new environment where you don't really know anybody.
Oh hell yeah,
How
it
did
was
that
scary.
make you feel?
Oh my God. It was definitely something. The best way I could describe it is that if you're like a new kid on the block and you go to the high school or like any kind of school there and you don't know anybody, it's just yourself. It's a whole lot like that. And I gained new perspective on what it's like to go to like a different school, like in a different city as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Worcester, I'm familiar with it. When my mom and dad divorced, she went to move into an apartment in Worcester. It was like downtown. It's like right near the city hall.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like on the third floor. And you can see out and you see out in the park. If you watch the new movie that's coming out and Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, is it the guy something?
Free Guy?
Yeah, Free Guy.
And one of the shots, it shows the exact window and the exact apartment where
Really?
my mom was there. Yeah.
Really? That's cool.
I know.
Mm-hmm. So, like, it was a little easier because you're in Worcester where you kind of were already familiar with.
I was familiar with
Yeah.
it, but it wasn't like home, like, you know, the back roads and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Worcester is a city as well, very much different from Millbury, which is a small town.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, adjusting to college, like, what were your first sort of reactions to it going in, especially socially?
it was intimidating. I will say that because I took a year off, thinking that would be a good idea, which turns out it really wasn't very much of a good idea. Because if I would have gone in, I would have been much more suited with
Adjusted?
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because you're going from a school environment back into a school environment, so there isn't really much kind of adjustment period. I mean, you just
Yeah.
have to adjust to, like, the more open schedule that colleges have, and it's, like, it's a little bit freer, in my opinion,
yeah,
at
it
least.
is freer.
Mm.
But a problem with me is that I think a lot about like 2015, 2016, 2017, 18. That I'm still think that I'm in that kind of time period. Like I wasn't like an adult. I didn't feel like I was adult.
You don't
It's
feel like
just-
you're an adult?
Sometimes, yes. Mm, I'm a very childish adult.
I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
Holding
I
on to
mean-
your, like, you know, childishness is,
Yeah.
it's not totally a bad thing. I mean, when you grow up, you should always keep looking at the world as if it's a wonder. At
Mhm.
least in my opinion, you know?
And it's important for me to kind of look back into that childhood because I'm going to a field of study where it's cartoons, and that's my childhood. I love cartoons. I love animation. I love the drawings. It's a really great passion for me.
When it comes to going into college, what was the experience you had with talking to new people and trying to make new friends?
With the college I went to, there were people there that had similar interests because I'm going to a similar field. But even with that, I still felt like an outcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because of your anxiety?
And other things as well.
Yeah.
It's just...
You felt like you couldn't kind of relate to them?
Yeah. And of course it's a big field, and I felt like since I took a year off, everybody's like younger. But no, it's weird because college is definitely a whole lot different experience than high school.
Yeah. Especially community college.
Yeah. I didn't go to a community college the first time. I went
right.
to Becker College, which is a lot more expensive if you didn't take courses from a community college. So make sure you do that. Get your classes from a community college first, so you don't have to pay over $20,000 a semester, and it's just complete shit. Well, the classes are okay, but there's like aspects of it that made it like, okay, is this worth it? Is it like this? Like, I had a two-faced professor.
Yeah, did having
It's
like those kind of professors make it a little harder to adjust that kind of environment?
When I first meet people, I try my best to treat them the way I want to be treated. That's my golden rule. Treat me, I'll treat you the same. Treat me good, I'll treat you good. Treat me bad, your ass is grass, and I'm gonna mow it. He didn't really do it on to me all that much. I don't know if I was the first person to get, like, his output on it. It was a couple of weeks that I got into it. And we're in class, he sent out a presentation. It's like, make sure you have questions at the end. And he wants to hear, like, everyone have one question. And I didn't really care much. It was one of those requirement classes that you had to take. And, I think he asked me first, which was like, oh, okay, this is me. And in that kind of environment, I just think of like, oh, this is work. I gotta do this work. Let's get it done and all that stuff. But I didn't have a question, so I was like, I don't really have a question. And he was like, when I ask you to do something, do it. And it's like,
That's kind of
oh,
weird.
really? Yeah. So if people treat me like that, then I'm like, okay, you're no good for me. I don't need to give you, like, any kind of worry or special attention or whatever and all that stuff. And I just stay away from you because, in general, I don't really like people all that much because some people, we can be arrogant and sometimes narcissistic, or we get too caught up in something. It's a whole different genre and different elements that we take from the world and we put us in, and then it outputs. It's kind of like that.
Depending on how well you sort of like take in information and what you take from the world, shapes kind of who you are. Is essentially what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when it's like it's such a common thing that we take in and it comes out, and then it becomes stereotypical sometimes, or it's just something common that we could expect from some people, like greed. Some greed can be more common while others aren't.
Greed comes, it's just any kind of emotion like that comes in different sort of doses and sort of forms from different people. Like, you and me are greedy, but we're not greedy in the same way. Is that what you're kind of saying?
In some way. And even with those kind of common elements, I'm thinking of the 7 deadly sins, like sloth, pride.
Oh, I'm definitely sloth. If I'm any of them, I'm definitely sloth.
Yeah.
Do you think college is better or worse than high school?
It really depends on the situation, because obviously you're not going to have the same experience as you were in high school when you're going to college.
Yeah,
But you can have similar elements, whether it's in class or outside class or doing this and that. It's a whole different part of your life that it's a new field that you haven't done before, and it's sometimes you just have to go for it and see what you can do, how you put yourself into it, and see what you can gain out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole new experience level. It's basically what I'm saying.
So
I had good and bad memories from high school.
Yeah.
But I also had good and bad memories in college. So, like your podcast, it's just life.
it's just life.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're just going through life, and part of that is going through high school, and for some of us, college.
Yeah.
And
Or even just like going like to work or like our daily basis and all that stuff. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own different perspective. And you just gotta go for it.
Yeah.
You know?
definitely.
Mhm.
And when it comes from my experience, I felt like high school, it did have some good and bad, parts of it. I mean, part of the
You
good
met
was,
me.
from my experiences, yeah, like we had the writing club, which was a good experience in high school. We had,
We did some cosplay.
we did
as
some
well.
cosplay, yeah.
I'm thinking of like our teenage life,
Yeah.
not just like general high school.
Yeah, but I was thinking, like, the librarian we had a good relationship with. She was very nice.
I loved her. I missed her when she didn't go to
Yeah.
graduation. I also missed my art teacher
Yeah.
because she helped me a whole lot in high school, and she helped me
Yeah.
with
Like,
life.
It's important to
well.
have those sort of figures in our life
Yeah.
to help guide us and help us, remind us essentially that we're not alone, and that life is hard, essentially, yes, and that we may be put in situations such as socially that give us a lot of anxiety and hurt, but they make it easier for us.
And it's really good, especially if you have like similar interests like art.
Yeah.
When
Finding
I
those
went to
people.
like art class for like sophomore year, I was so used to like my art style. When she started introducing me to general art, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? All that stuff. And sometimes she'll just say, go for it. And like, I don't know what you mean by go for it, like all that stuff.
Just jump
And
right
there,
in.
yeah, there was a couple of times I had like a couple of breakthroughs, like mental breakthroughs, especially with ceramics, because we were going a little bit over the deadline, and I was doing something small. She was like, no, you gotta do it bigger. And it's like, I can't do it bigger because I don't know how I can work the thing into the thing I want to work on.
But having those sort of people in your life is good.
But that's another thing. It's like, you think of something that you want done, and that's a lot in society as well. People expect you to do things that they want you to do, and it doesn't turn out the way that they want you to, and they not essentially freak out, but they're like, no, I don't want this, I want to do this, and in some cases it's like, oh my god, don't do this to me, I don't like it, who are you? Like, you start to become enemies. But even though I don't socialize all that much, I see things and I take in things, and that's how I learn like wisdom, and I hear stories of other people's life, especially my grandmothers and a couple of teachers. I always love it when the teachers talk about their life stories.
I know.
And I listen to that and I gain like, oh wow, this is so cool, maybe I could gain something from this and try to get like a better perspective. And if back to like my example of somebody freaking out because something isn't working right, I don't think of them as an enemy. I think of more of it like a grayscale. Like, maybe they have something that is there, but it's not working out for me, like OCD. Especially when somebody wants everything done in a line and they've been raised and taught like that. And
It's the example of the scholarly boy.
yeah, and you
If you've
want
ever
it to
read
be
that.
just right so you can focus well and get it done. But sometimes it's never like that. And that's a whole different thing from high school to college, where you're so used to the everyday life schedule that you do. Once you get into college or once you graduated, it's like, oh wow, what am I gonna do? I don't know what to do. You're out there and you just don't know what to do. And that's similar to my situation. Like graduating, I didn't think I would graduate high school. And then I'll be like, graduation day is coming. I'm like, yeah, you're funny. I'm going to go back to my work. And that kind of perspective, I didn't really think about college as well. Or like me turning to adult. And then graduation happened and I was like, oh my god, this is it. What am I going to do? It's just snaps right there. And
you kind of gets hit with sort of like a
like a reality check.
Yeah, a reality check. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're not like in high school anymore. We're essentially not kids anymore because you legally become an adult when you're 18.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, I know for me, like, I don't feel like a total adult. I mean, I'm still living at home and I'm still going to school. I mean, it's not like high school anymore, but I'm still in school.
But it can be a good thing as well because now you have more freedom what to do what you want. And it's good to look back into the past to see what can help you and what doesn't. Like if you want to move on to some other place, then you think of, oh, okay, how am I going to do this? And you look back and think.
So what are your fears with socializing with new people? And, like, do you have any fears of, like, others' opinions? I know we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yes.
So, yeah, so you have a lot of, like, fears when it comes to that. Does that, like, hinder you when it comes to being...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because now I'm in an environment where I found somebody new who had my kindling. And I'm like, who the hell are you? I don't know who you are. I don't know how you're going to behave and, like, react and all that stuff. And it's definitely hard if it's just me, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. If I were to walk into a room, mind my own business, doing, like, I got something to do, like yesterday, I went over to my grandmother's house because I had to do something, I had to print something out for college, and there was somebody new there, and I thought it would have been, like, one of my family members, and I was like, oh, and then my mind went blue, like, instantly blank.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of like a new person here. I have no idea what I'm supposed to say to you.
yeah.
What would be an actual human response?
Yes. Hi. Hello.
My name
I
is...
don't know you.
Yeah.
I am intimidated.
But I can understand that. Like, new people are scary.
Yeah, especially if you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how they're going to react and all that stuff.
I mean, like, I don't know about you, but at least coming from me, like, I've learned from being in college and being a lot of social, like, situations where I was kind of forced to socialize. I've kind of gotten used to meeting new people, and that I just try to be friendly and be genuine and
Just try to treat others the way that you want to be treated.
yeah, like you said earlier. I mean, and
That's the golden rule. Anytime, it doesn't matter, because in different religion, I know I'm getting a little bit religious here, but it doesn't matter where you are. It's a really golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated, basically.
yeah, and you know, if they don't like you when you're at your genuine self, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And, you know,
You don't have to like me.
what are some outlets that you do to help with, like, anxiety and depression that, you know, stems from socializing?
Going back to, like, how different things influence other people, especially media, is a good and a bad thing, because it depends on where you're getting it. But one of the good things is I'm a Star Wars fan, and I love Carrie Fisher, and one of her famous quotes is, "Be scared, but do it anyways." So, in that sentence is basically just get your shit done. Get your shit done. Don't worry about what's happening or all that stuff. Just go in there, get it done, go out.
Because once
And
you get it
that's
done, it's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Unless if you like the pain, then you just rip it off. Or if you want to do pain on others, you just get duct tape and put it on their head
their YouTube channel called Yes Theory, and their slogan is "Seek Discomfort," where they themselves go out and do things that they're not comfortable with, but like they've always wanted to do anyway. That is like they meet with strangers, they spend 24 hours, they go on trips with strangers. Recently they spent 24 hours in the desert at night while naked. Yeah.
Oh.
So they do stuff like that, but they want to encourage other people, and I find them very motivating myself, is to seek discomfort in your daily life, doing things that you wouldn't normally do, but would actually force you to get out of your comfort zone so that you can do the things that you've always wanted to do, but your kind of reservations and, something that might be uncomfortable is holding you back.
You feel like it's dangerous and you don't want to put yourself in that kind of danger, especially you don't know what's going on, but...
Yeah, because the world is a scary place.
Yeah, but that's when you do it, like, facing your fears, you do it step by step, you break it down in steps, how you're going to do it, and try to take those steps, see what's easiest for you to do, and take that step, and just hopefully get into that mode, and keep doing until it's nothing.
You set goals for yourself that are achievable, something that you can see the progress in.
Yeah.
And that's totally understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what are your ultimate goals, essentially? Like, when it comes to socializing, do you want to be more social, or do you want to try and...
I definitely want to be more social, but I don't want it to be something that's going to take away a part of me, because I guess some people would say that I'm very mysterious, because I don't talk to, like, a lot of people, and I do my own thing, whether I'm completely childish, I'm bouncing off the walls at 2 a.m. in the morning, or, like, I'm at in the middle of the day and I'm wearing, like, all black, and I'm just shrugging, like, people are like, get away from me, stay away from me. In myself, besides socially, it's not selfish to focus on yourself.
No, of course not.
It's not that greedy, because in the end, it's going to be you on how you're going to go at it, And you can put somebody else's needs in front of your others. How are you going to do something when they need something out of you and you don't have that,
So
or it's not that. That's kind of a bad example, but it's like you wouldn't have known what you know now if it wasn't for you, kind of thing,
Yeah, you learn and grow and change as a person, and you take in... You're growing yourself, essentially, And you need to love yourself and be happy with yourself before you can help and love others.
Yeah. You need a stable condition in yourself before you do anything, whether socially or physically, mentally, or
anything.
Spiritually. I'm very highly spiritual. So.
Yeah, and does that help you with,
Oh, yeah. When I was, like, 15, 14, maybe 16, around that kind, I started learning about Wicca. Not saying that I'm Wiccan, but I learned about, like, witches and all that stuff, and I get more familiarized. And now as I'm growing, and my family's original religion is Christianity, and I notice how aspects of Wicca, which is more of, like, before Christ, before anything, it's more of earthy. It's a earth religion, a universal religion. I can see that in Christianity as well, as alignments with yourself, with something very good and positive. And
I feel like that's another thing that helps with connecting with others, because that's something that you love so much.
And we're all a part in this earth. We're all a part in this one aspect of the universe, a small grain of sand across an entire desert or whatever, this expanding this cosmos thing. And we could all be something smaller than we think that the universe is, you know?
And so if we're so small and so minuscule, we're all on this one earth together, then that's something that connects us.
Yeah, and we're all going through what we have been put and placed of. We all have our own stories. We all have our own. We're all connected in this existence, and we don't even know if we're just the only living things or if there's other living things. I do think there are other living things, but I don't think they're like as scary as us. And that's like God and like this whole other plane of existence. Like, you know how like there's like astral planes and like spiritual planes and all that stuff. And a couple of years ago I got into something called tarot cards. In an essential way, in some aspect ways, they speak to you, depending on the meaning of the cards. Some of them, they can just hit right on the nail, and it could be something there all along, but I would have never known, you know, because I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
The Four Swords usually means stop right here. It's not like, okay, it's time to take a break. No, it means like stop right here, right now. You need a break. You know you need this break. Stop right here, collect yourself, and see what you can. I collect myself and try to go back at the problem again, if I can. And that tells me, like, yeah, stop right here.
Yeah.
If I could give, like, an advice, do things that are good for you. Know yourself. If you know yourself and if you put time into yourself, you will know what you want in life and what good you can bring in for yourself and what you want to do. So that's another thing about not being selfish if you think about yourself, because if you want something good, you have to put time into that from yourself to that self, to that thing, in order to get that good thing, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Putting time into yourself.
Mm-hmm. You definitely have to put some time into yourself and thought into yourself so that you can feel fulfilled, whether that be socially or with your own sort of definition of success. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Shelby. It was really great to have you on.
You're welcome, McKenna.
Yeah.
Anytime. This is something. It's something really good. I like to do this.
Yeah. You know, and we just want to help people and know that they're not alone out there.
Of course not. We're all in this together, even though it's like the pandemic and all that stuff. And even without the pandemic, we're still all in this together, whether you like each other or not, you know. We're still put in here. We still got to figure things out to work out how we want to go about with our life.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely, I can agree.
If I were to live 100 years or die younger, I would think I wouldn't die really young, but I would die before 100. Because if you live up to be 100, what good would it be if you didn't do anything in between those years? Like, you could live up to be 100, but what do you have that makes it worth to be 100?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just like the crocodile man. He lived for such a short time, but he did what he loved and he saved animals.
You're talking about Steve Irwin?
Yeah, Steve Irwin.
Yeah, Steve
He's
Irwin.
a big influence as well.
Yeah.
Be kind to animals and all that stuff. And
like Bob Ross and there was another one.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yeah, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. And is there any like parting words you have for the people in the podcast who are listening?
Know yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. If they don't feel the same way, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Just be you in general, because that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to you. You're not somebody else. You're not in somebody else's footsteps. You're in your own, but you can definitely put your perspective in there. It's just be you, I guess.
People are gonna come and go in your life, and that's all right.
It's those that stay with you that count.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome, McKenna. Anytime.
So this week, I wanted to try something new. And instead of just having our guests share their experiences, I wanted to share some of mine to give a different perspective. So if you're interested, please listen more. If not, I'll see you next week. When I was younger, I used to be the most outspoken and rowdy child you would ever meet. Because of that, I didn't have a lot of friends, but I was always open to making connections with others. Over time, though, as I got older, it became harder and harder to make friends and connect with others, so I closed myself off. I guess it doesn't help that puberty makes everything harder. All those awkward feelings, and the inkling that everyone's eyes are just burning into you no matter where you go. The thought of standing up to present a project was enough to make my knees weak. I'm not sure how I developed into this kind of person, but I do know it happened slowly. Before I knew it, I preferred burying my nose in a book rather than connecting with my classmates. But I would always find myself longing for connections with others. I had a few close friends, some who came and went throughout the years. My dad always told me people are going to come and go in your life, and I didn't quite understand that until I got older. When I finally graduated high school, it was the most socially freeing experience of my life. I felt like I wasn't trapped anymore, and because I felt free, I was finally able to start opening myself up to others again. It was terrifying at first. What do you even say to new people when you want to be their friends? I had some help though. Starting in college, I wasn't alone. My older sister was with me, and she had more experience when it came to approaching others. I wanted to change from the person I was in high school. I didn't want to be that closed-off, scared person anymore, and going into college was my fresh start. And I found that people weren't so scary, and that not everyone was staring at me all the time like how my anxiety made me think. Some people say high school is the best years of your life, but for me, and probably others, it's when you get into college. I was able to find that boisterous person I used to be, that was fun to joke around with and befriend. I now have more friends and close connections than I've ever had. Don't get me wrong, I'm still scared, but taking that first step and leap of faith is what pushed me to be the person I am today. I may still want to retreat to my bed and snuggle my cat while reading, but I still enjoy hanging out with my friends and meeting new people. My advice for people who are feeling like there isn't anyone to connect to is to just take that leap of faith. You are bound to make some mistakes, but that's the fun in learning and becoming the person you've always wanted to be. The world will always be a scary place, but the connections we make the journey all that more worth it. Thank you for listening today. It's always great to hang out with friends, and those connections are important, especially in these times. The people around us can be a great strength. Tune into next week's episode for more awesome guests.